If Jesus was standing here this morning, and he is, he's in our midst, he would probably, if he physically, audibly told us, he would say, you're not to covet or want or be jealous of your neighbor's house or the beautiful wife that he's got or his good job or his company car or the big screen HD TV entertainment center that he has with the Dolby Theater built-in surround sound and the 20-speaker system or his pool or his jacuzzi. The 10th commandment, listen, the 10th commandment is not, get this, the 10th commandment is not forbidding strong desire in general. It's the object of the strong desire, which crosses the line into coveting. And if you think about it, the 10 commandments really have their root in this last commandment. I think that's why God put it last. The entire war between God and Satan, the beginning of this whole mess that we call sin, had its birthing place with covetousness. And all this leads me to one simple question this morning. And it may not be the question you think I'm going to ask, but here it is. Are you happy? Are you content? Are you okay? I'm asking myself too. Are we okay without the stuff and things? Are we okay if it's just us and God? Are you satisfied with your life? Here's the startling truth to me. We have it made, don't we? And we are still unhappy. If things could make us happy, then we should be the happiest people in the world. We live in one of the most Christianized, best communities in all the world. I don't think we think about that very often. In Coleman County, Blount County, Alabama, where we all gather from to come and worship at this place, we live in one of the greatest places on earth. Go Bama, War Eagle, we got it made. We have more than enough. We are very privileged. But we think more is better. But is it? It seems the more we have, the less we like it. If having more would make us happy, we would have never needed this 10th commandment. There's a little story of a king who fell into a serious depression and nothing could lift his spirits. His servants tried everything. They tried music, they tried dancing, they tried court jesters, lavish banquets, beautiful flowers. Nothing seemed to help him. Finally, this old and wise man came to the king with an unusual piece of advice. O king, if you could obtain the shirt off the back of a truly happy man, you yourself will be happy. Upon hearing those words, the king ordered the men to search the four corners of the earth and to bring him the shirt off the back of a truly happy man. Weeks passed and then months. Finally, his soldiers returned. O king, after many days and much searching, we found a truly happy man. But your majesty, the man was not wearing a shirt. Stuff, things, and even other people can never be the ultimate source of joy and happiness and contentment for you and for me. The Bible says that our true source of happiness and contentment comes from one place, and that is from Jesus Christ. Truly unhappy people say, if only I had. How fitting is that? We think to ourselves, if only I had this or that. And then we fill in the blank with our latest dream. A new house, a new spouse. I'm not talking to her. A new set of children, a new job, a new friend, a new portfolio, a new start in life. And no wonder we're unhappy. No wonder we're discontent and miserable at times. I want to give you 5 facts about coveting this morning, 5 biblical facts. Write it down, mark it down. These are true. These are biblical. 5 facts about coveting, the root of all the sins. Here's one thing you need to know about covetousness. The Bible shows us over and over again that it is often the invisible or the unnoticed sin. It's often the invisible or the unnoticed sin. Even looking at the Ten Commandments, most of the other sins are pretty easy to spot. You steal or you don't. You lie, you get caught. So you lie or you don't. You commit adultery, everybody finds out about it eventually. Is that weird that that's moving? At least on the outward level, most of the other sins have some kind of visible manifestation. Coveting, however, can often be invisible. A person may be quite wealthy. Here's what I mean. A person may be quite wealthy and never covet at all. The Bible does not teach that wealth is evil or that wealthy people are covetous. Not at all. Coveting happens inside the heart when one's desires begin to get out of control. Often people who are not rich covet more than people who are rich because they truly believe in their heart. They've convinced themselves that if they only had more money or only had more possessions, that would make them happy. And that's the tricky part about coveting. Since it's invisible, we tend to not take it seriously. I'll tell you the truth, as a pastor, I've been in the ministry for 20 years. It's rare that anyone ever comes to pastoral counseling, asks me if I will meet with them, and admits, Pastor Murph, whatever they call me, I have a coveting spirit. I've rarely ever heard anybody ever say that. Oh, I've heard adultery, I've heard lying, I've heard all these things and so on, but it's rare that someone admits or sees that their deepest need is covetousness. It's rare that people see that their deepest problem is that they are continually wanting something that someone else has, and they're not thankful for what Christ has given them. We tend to hide that. It's the invisible sin. Number two, we've said this, but I want to make sure we go home today knowing this, establishing this in our hearts. Covetousness is the root of all other sins. Like I said earlier in Romans chapter 7, Paul recounts this moment in his own life when he realized his own sinfulness. He says it came as he began to consider his life in light of the Ten Commandments. All went well with him as he kind of went through these, and then he got to the 10th commandment. It was enough that he mentioned it. I mean, I don't know how it happened, but it could have been like this. Paul was reading through these 10 commandments, checking them off as he realized that he had obeyed them. No other gods before me. Check. No idols. No way, God. I was changed on the road to Damascus. No idols, God. Check. Don't use God's name lightly. I used to be Saul, but now I'm Paul. No way, God. I wouldn't do that. Never think of using your name lightly. Keep the Sabbath always, God. Honor my parents. You bet. Don't murder. Well, before I became a Christian, but I was changed. Never would dream of it. Don't commit adultery? Check. Remember, I'm the guy that said it's better, maybe you're better off not to even marry. Don't steal? Well, I'm no thief. Don't lie? Well, since God changed me, I always tell the truth. Don't covet. I guess Paul said, I wonder what that means. When Paul started dealing with covetousness in his heart, he suddenly discovered that he was a deeply, deeply wretched, covetous man. In fact, once he read Do Not Covet, he realized that coveting was a huge problem in his own life. The very act of saying don't awakened in him this desire to do. And he realized that he was covetous. Saying don't lust made him want to lust. Saying don't steal made him want to steal. Saying don't lie made him want to lie. And that may sound strange, but think about it. What's your first impulse when you see a sign that says wet paint, don't touch? You want to touch it just to see. It's like the old trick of asking children, I'll do it to you. Close your eyes and think about it. Just do it. Do it again. Come on, we'll keep you going here. Close your eyes one more time. Just do it. Close your eyes. Think about anything except for a pink elephant, okay? All right, you can open them. You're all thinking about pink elephants. It awakens a desire within us to do. Whenever a thing is forbidden, it becomes desirable. Coveting is the root of all other sin because it causes us to want that which is forbidden. Number 3, get this. We see it in the scripture right here in Exodus chapter 20, verse 17. Coveting begins close to home. Coveting begins close to home. Did you notice that the 10th commandment mentions the word neighbor 3 times. Don't covet your neighbor's house. Don't covet your neighbor's wife. Don't covet anything that belongs to your neighbor. We might tend to overlook that word neighbor, but coveting, I promise you, begins close to home. We covet what we see every day. Our neighbor's wife, or our neighbor's house, our neighbor's car, our neighbor's fame, our neighbor's money. We rarely covet things that are far away from us. We do sometimes, but most of the time that's fantasy and that's not very realistic. It's the things we see every day that get us the most. We want what our neighbor has, not what some stranger has. Maybe we see Donald Trump and think, well, I wonder what I would do with $2 billion, but that's not very realistic. But what about the neighbor? What about the friend? What about the coworker, the guy you go to church with, the lady whose kid is on your kid's little league team? He just got a promotion. Their daughter just got an award. She's driving a new car. And wow, did you get a look at the game room they added on the top floor of their house? It's easy to envy the Joneses and then to covet what they have. And finally, to spend everything you have and a lot of what you don't have in order to keep up with the Joneses. If you want to spot the covetous parts of your life, start close to home with the things and the people that you see every day. That's why God talks about the neighbor. Number 4, covetousness springs up from an ungrateful heart. This is big right here. Coveting is nothing more than an attempt. Get this, church, don't miss this. Coveting is nothing more than an attempt to improve upon God. And we don't have any right to do that. We can't improve upon God. The covetous man moans and groans because he believes that he's been treated unfairly. When all the goodies were passed out, he got nothing but crumbs. That's what he thinks. He thinks, I must have been on lunch break or gone to the bathroom when God handed out all the blessings. He's convinced himself of that. When I covet my neighbor's house, am I not really saying that God has not provided adequately for me? When I covet my neighbor's spouse, am I not expressing the discontentment with the spouse that God has given me? When I covet my neighbor's children, am I not implying that God cheated me by giving me the rotten kids and the neighbor got the good ones? When I covet my neighbor's promotion, am I not doubting God's ability to advance my career? When I covet my neighbor's good health, am I accusing God of failing to take care of my physical needs? When I covet my neighbor's wealth, am I not saying that God has failed to provide for me? The covetous man doubts God's wisdom, doubts God's goodness, doubts God's justice and his timing, and ultimately doubts God's love. So when we covet, we're saying, God, I'm convinced that you haven't taken care of me and that you can't. We're blaming God for his supposed failure to meet our needs.